My friends, I want to begin tonight with an idea that, once it lands in you properly, will quietly change the way you experience every single day of your life. Reality is always late. The outer world, the circumstances, the events, the conditions, the things you can see and touch and point to, is always running behind. It is always arriving after the fact. It is always the last to know. By the time anything shows up in your visible life, it is already old news. It is a delayed echo of something that happened somewhere else, some time ago, and that somewhere else is inside you, and that some time ago is already past. This is the thing almost no one understands about how their life actually works. They think the outer world is the headline. They think it is where the news happens. They watch it obsessively, waiting for it to tell them what is true, what is possible, what is coming. They treat the visible world as the source of information about their life. But the visible world is not the source. The visible world is the report. It is the printout. It is the receipt. It is the thing that gets delivered after the real event has already taken place. And the real event, every single time, without exception, takes place first, on the inside, in the quiet, invisible realm of your own assumption. Reality is always late, my friends. It always has been. And tonight I am going to show you why this one understanding, fully absorbed, hands you back the keys to your entire life. Let me give you a picture to hold, because pictures stay when ideas fade. Imagine you are standing in a vast canyon. You cup your hands around your mouth, and you call out a single word, and then you wait. And a moment later, the canyon calls it back to you. The echo returns. Now, here is the question I want you to sit with. Which one was the cause? The sound or the echo? It is obvious, of course. The sound you made was the cause. The echo was the effect. The echo is simply the sound, returning to you a moment later, after it has traveled out and bounced off the canyon walls. The echo cannot create the sound. The echo can only repeat it. And this is the part one wants you to feel. The echo is always late. It always arrives after. It is by its very nature a delayed version of something that already happened. Your outer life is the echo. Your inner state is the sound. Every condition in your life right now is an echo returning to you from a sound you made, an assumption you held, a state you occupied, a self you were being some time ago. The bank balance is an echo. The relationship is an echo. The body, the job, the atmosphere of your days, all echoes. All of them returning to you, faithfully after the fact, repeating back the sound you made on the inside before you ever saw the result on the outside. And here is where almost everyone gets trapped. They hear the echo, and they think the echo is the cause. They hear the canyon call back a word of lack, of struggle, of loneliness, of not enough, and instead of recognizing it as the delayed return of an old sound, they treat it as new information. They say, so this is the truth, this is reality, this is what is. And then, this is the fatal move. They make a new sound that matches the echo. They call back out into the canyon the same word they just heard returned to them. And the canyon faithfully sends it back again. And they hear it again, and call it back again, and on, for years, for decades, mistaking the echo of their own old assumption for the fixed and unchangeable nature of reality. This is the loop almost everyone is caught in. They react to the echo. They let the echo set the next sound. They let reality, which is always late, which is only ever a report on the past, dictate the assumption they hold in the present. And so the present keeps recreating the past on a delay forever. The way out of the loop is breathtakingly simple to state, though it takes courage to live. Stop letting the echo choose your next sound. Stop letting late arriving reality dictate your present assumption. Make the sound you actually want to hear return to you, and then hold it steadily through the delay while the canyon does its work. Now I have to talk to you about the delay itself, because the delay is the single thing that breaks more people on this path than anything else. If the echo came back instantly, if you made a sound and heard it returned in the same breath, This would all be easy. Everyone would manifest effortlessly. You would assume a new state, see it reflected immediately, and your faith would never waver because the evidence would be instant. There would be no spiritual struggle at all. The whole thing would be as obvious as flipping a switch. But that is not how it works. There is a delay. There is always a delay. You make the new sound. You assume the new state. You step into the wish fulfilled. You become, on the inside, the person who already has it. And then you look around at the outer world, and the outer world has not changed. The old echo is still arriving. The old conditions are still here. Reality, late as ever, is still reporting on the sound you made before you made the new one. And in that gap, in that delay between the new inner sound and the new outer echo, almost everyone loses faith. They make the new sound on Monday. They look at reality on Tuesday and see the old conditions still standing, and they think, it isn't working. They make the new sound again on Wednesday with a little less conviction. They check reality on Thursday, see the old echo still arriving, and their faith thins further. By the following week, they have concluded that the new sound was a fantasy and the old echo was the truth, and they go back to making the old sound, the one that matches the conditions they can see. Do you understand what has happened here? They abandoned the new sound during the delay. They quit in the gap. They mistook the lateness of reality for the failure of the principle. The echo of the new sound was already on its way, traveling out, bouncing off the canyon walls, heading back toward them. And they stopped calling, turned around, and walked away, just before it arrived. The delay is not a flaw in the system. The delay is simply the nature of an echo. It takes time for the sound to travel out and return. And the entire spiritual discipline of this path comes down to one thing: your ability to hold the new sound steady through the delay, without letting the old, still arriving echo talk you out of it. The people who change their lives are not the people who make the most powerful sound. They are the people who can hold a sound through the silence, who can keep assuming the new state while the old reality is still arriving, who understand in their bones that the gap between the inner change and the outer change is not evidence of failure. It is simply the time it takes for a late world to catch up to an inner state that has already changed. I want to show you something now about how you have been making decisions, because it is the root of why reality keeps repeating. Every moment of every day, you are choosing what to believe about your life, and you have been making that choice by consulting a particular witness. You have been consulting the outer world. You look around, you see the conditions, and you let those conditions tell you what is true. The bank balance tells you whether you are abundant. The relationship status tells you whether you are loved. The body tells you whether you are well. The job tells you whether you are successful. You have appointed the visible world as the supreme authority on the truth of your life, and you defer to its verdict completely. But think about what you have actually done. You have appointed as your supreme witness the one witness that is always late. You have handed the authority over your present to a report on your past. You are letting an echo, a delayed return of an old sound, dictate the new sound you are about to make. You are letting yesterday's assumption, dressed up as today's reality, decide tomorrow's assumption. This is why your life repeats. You consult the late witness, you believe its outdated report, and you make a present tense assumption that matches a past tense condition. And then that fresh assumption goes out and returns, on a delay, as a fresh condition that matches the old one. The witness was reporting on the past. You treated it as the present, and so you manufactured a future identical to the past. The way out is to change which witness you trust. There is another witness available to you, a truer one, an earlier one. A witness that reports not on the late echoing, already past outer world, but on the present, living, causal inner one. That witness is your own assumption, your own inner state, the sound you are making right now, in the privacy of your own being, before the canyon has had time to send it back. When you learn to trust the inner witness over the outer one, when you learn to believe your assumption over your circumstances, You have done the single most important thing a person can do on this path. You have stopped consulting the echo and started consulting the sound. You have stopped letting late reality dictate present state. You have moved your faith from the report to the source. And the moment you do that, the loop breaks. Because now your present assumption is no longer a copy of a past condition. It is a free, deliberate, present tense choice. And the future echo it produces will be a copy of that, of the new sound, not of the old conditions you have stopped consulting. So, how do you actually do this? How do you hold the new sound while the old echo is still arriving, without your faith collapsing every time you look at the unchanged conditions? The answer is something the teaching has always pointed at, and it becomes crystal clear once you understand that reality is late. You live from the end. You live from the place where the echo has already returned. You occupy, inwardly, the state that exists after the delay has completed, and you occupy it now, before the outer world has caught up. Let me make this concrete. Most people, when they want something, live from the beginning. They live from the wanting, from the reaching, from the part of the story where the thing has not yet arrived. And from that position, every glance at the still unchanged outer world confirms the wanting, deepens the reaching, and reinforces the absence. They are living at the start of the delay, staring down the long gap, feeling every inch of the distance. Living from the end is the opposite. You move yourself inwardly to the position after the thing has arrived. You assume the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. You take the inner posture of the person for whom the echo has already returned, who already has it, already lives there, already is it. And crucially, you hold that posture regardless of what the outer world is currently showing, because you understand that the outer world is simply late. It has not caught up yet, but your inner state does not have to wait for it. Your inner state can move to the end of the delay immediately and live there while the slow outer world makes its way home. This is what it means to live from the end. Not to wait at the beginning of the delay, hoping, but to relocate inwardly to the end of the delay, assuming to be the echo's destination before the echo arrives, to make the sound, and then, instead of standing there anxiously waiting to hear it return, to simply be the one who has already heard it, who already lives in the world where it returned, who is no longer waiting at all. When you live from the end, the delay stops tormenting you, because you are no longer standing at the start of the gap, staring at how far the echo has to travel. You have already moved to where it is going. You are already home, and from home the wait is not a torment, it is just a formality. The outer world is coming. Of course it is coming. You can feel it coming, because you are already standing where it will arrive. I have to be honest with you about something, because if I am not, you will be ambushed by it. There will be moments, many of them, when the old echo is very loud, when you have made the new sound, when you have moved to the end, when you are living from the wish fulfilled as best you can, and the outer world delivers a fresh, vivid, undeniable reminder of the old condition. A bill, a rejection, a reflection, a silence, a piece of bad news. The canyon calls back, loud and clear, a word you thought you had stopped making. In these moments, everything in you will want to react, to panic, to conclude the new sound failed, to grab the old assumption again, because the evidence feels so overwhelming. I want to give you a single sentence to hold in these moments, a sentence that, if you remember it, will carry you through the hardest tests of this path. This is an old echo. That is it. When the bad evidence arrives, you do not argue with it. You do not panic over it. You do not even try to fight it. You simply name it correctly. This is an old echo. This is the delayed return of a sound I used to make. This is reality being late. This is not new information. This is the past arriving on schedule. And then you let it pass through you without picking up the old assumption to match it. Because here is what is actually happening in those moments. The old echoes that arrive after you have changed your inner state are not predictions of the future. They are the tail end of the past. They are the last few echoes of the old sound, still arriving, still traveling back, even though you stopped making that sound a while ago. They feel like the present. They are dressed as the present, but they are the past, arriving late, as the past always does. The person who breaks free is the one who can stand in the middle of an old echo and not flinch, who can hear the canyon call back the old word, and simply think, that is an old sound returning. I do not make that sound anymore. I am making a new one now, and its echo is on the way. And then keep making the new sound, steadily, while the old echoes finish arriving and fall silent, one by one, until at last the canyon has nothing left to send back except the new word you have been faithfully calling out the whole time. The old echoes will keep coming for a while after you change. That is not failure. That is just lateness. Let them arrive. Let them pass. Do not feed them with a matching assumption, and they will run out. They always run out. Because you stopped making that sound, and an echo cannot outlast its source forever. There is a particular kind of patience that becomes available to you once you truly understand that reality is late, and it is unlike ordinary patience. Ordinary patience is the gritted teeth endurance of someone waiting for an uncertain outcome. It is white knuckled, it is anxious, it is constantly checking, constantly wondering, constantly afraid the thing will not come. Most people who try to be patient on this path are practicing this kind of patience, and it is exhausting because underneath it is doubt. They are waiting and hoping at the same time, and the hoping confesses that they do not yet believe. But there is another kind of patience, the patience of someone who is not waiting to find out whether, only waiting to see when. The patience of someone who has posted a letter and knows it will arrive, and simply allows the days to pass while it makes its way. There is no anxiety in this patience because there is no doubt. The outcome is not in question, only the timing. And the timing this kind of person understands is simply the delay, the natural, expected, perfectly normal time it takes for a late reality to catch up to an inner state that has already changed. This is the patience that becomes available to you when you stop measuring your life by the echo and start trusting the sound. You are no longer waiting to see if it works. You know it works, the same way you know that a sound you make in a canyon will return. The only open question is the length of the delay, and you can wait through a delay with grace, with ease, with something almost like enjoyment when you are certain of the arrival. Most people cannot wait because they are not certain. They are checking the outer world to find out whether the thing is coming, and the outer world, being late, keeps showing them the old condition, and so they keep concluding it is not coming. They are using the echo to predict the echo. They are consulting the delay to find out whether the delay will end. You do not have to live that way. You can know, actually know, in your bones, that the new sound you are making will return. And from that knowing, the waiting transforms. It stops being torment and becomes simply the quiet, confident interval between the sound and its echo, the space in which a faithful universe does its faithful work. The delay, which used to break you, becomes the very thing you rest inside, because you understand at last what it is. Not silence, not failure, just reality, on its way, running a little behind, as it always does. So here is what I want you to carry with you tonight, into every glance at your circumstances, into every moment the outer world tries to tell you what is true. Reality is always late. What you are seeing when you look at your life is not the present. It is the past, arriving on a delay. It is the echo of a sound you made some time ago, returning to you now, after the fact. When the real event, the assumption, the state, the inner sound, has already long since happened. The visible world is not the headline. It is the report. It is not the cause. It is the late arriving effect. So stop treating it as the authority. Stop letting the echo choose your next sound. Stop consulting the delayed report on your past to decide the assumption you will hold in your present. The outer world is the last to know what is true about your life. It is always catching up. It is always running behind. It is the slowest, latest, most outdated witness you could possibly consult. And you have been treating its word as final. Trust the sound instead of the echo. Trust your assumption instead of your circumstances. Make the sound you actually want return to you. And then, here is the whole discipline. Hold it steady through the delay. Do not abandon it in the gap. Do not let the old echoes, still arriving, talk you out of the new sound you have begun to make. Name those old echoes for what they are. This is the past, arriving late. I do not make that sound any more. And keep calling out the new word, steadily into the canyon, while the old returns finish arriving and fall, one by one, into silence, and live from the end. Do not stand at the start of the delay, staring down the gap, feeling every inch of the distance. Move inwardly to where the echo is going. Be the one who has already heard it return. Occupy the wish fulfilled now, before the slow outer world has caught up. And then wait, not with the anxious patience of someone hoping, but with the quiet, certain patience of someone who knows the letter is already in the post and simply allows the days to pass. Because the days will pass, and the echo will return, and one ordinary morning, sooner than the delay had you believe, you will look up and find that the outer world has finally, quietly, caught up to the inner sound you have been faithfully making all along. The conditions will have shifted, the reflection will have changed. The late, slow, faithful world will have arrived at last, carrying back to you the very thing you assumed before there was any evidence to assume it. And in that moment you will understand, in a way no lecture could ever teach you, that you were never waiting for reality to decide your fate. You were only ever waiting for it to catch up. It always does. Thank you and good evening. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.